Hi everyone, it's Chris Natzke with Black Belt Leadership Speaking and Coaching with your Mind of a Champion tip of the week. You know, it's often been said that it's not what happens to us that matters, it's the meaning that we put to it. And what also has been said as I've worked on in my life and I've come to understand is there's a tremendous power in how we label things. There's a tremendous power to our words. And I know that each and every one of us went through a unique set of circumstances in 2020. I know I certainly did in my personal and my professional life. And I was recently talking about this with a bunch of my guy friends. We were together on Saturday and we hadn't seen each other in a while, and we were kind of all getting caught up, and we were given a review of the year that had just passed. And of course, as you would imagine, most of our discussion started with some of the challenges that we had in 2020. What happened in our personal lives, what happened in our businesses and in our jobs. But what was really interesting is when we really started to get really honest with ourselves, what we found out is that many, if not all of those challenges, at some way turn into blessings down the road. It may not have been the way that we had planned for things to unfold, but when we really stepped back and looked at things, there was some real gold there, some real blessings. And in some ways, it caused us to move in directions we wouldn't have, and we're doing things that, that were incredibly beneficial to us that we would have never even thought of. And it got me thinking, within the last couple of weeks, I've been rereading one of my favorite books. It's called Spiritual Economics by Eric Butterworth. And in it, Eric Butterworth talks about this distinction. He says, rather than looking at things as problems, why not look at them as projects? Rather than looking at things as problems, look at them as projects. Now, you may say, well, I got a lot of problems here. But the fact of the matter is when we focus on the idea of problems, it oftentimes comes with worry. It comes with us contracting and trying to protect ourselves. And it's probably also not where we're making our best decisions. But when we put something in the context of a project, unless of course it's cleaning the basement, but when you put yourself in the project, you get excited, you start rolling up your sleeves, you want to get into it. So what I want to share with you now is 4 ideas that I've come up with, not only for my own life, but I think that you'll benefit from as well, of how we can transition our problems into projects. And number 1 is this. Is to get clear on what's really happening when something surprises, some challenge comes up in our life. So often when we have challenges arise, there's again this protection that we go into, and we start projecting into the future about all the things that might hurt us and down the road. And that reaction is natural. In fact, it was really ingrained in our ancestors, because when they were walking around in the wilderness and they didn't know if the saber-toothed tiger was around the corner, they had to always be on guard. But we don't live in that world right now. And what oftentimes happens is when challenges arise, we start projecting into the future, we start worrying, and we start creating stories around it. But what I found is after that fear comes through, and it's okay to have the fear, you just want to let it pass, but then ask yourself, point blank, what's really happening here? See, when we get out of our story and we look at the facts of what are happening, now we can start making good decisions. Now we can start taking steps to move us through the challenge. That's number 1. Number 2 is what wants to happen here. What wants to happen here? Now, what do I mean by that? I don't know about you, but I had all these tremendous plans for 2020 and how it was going to unfold. In fact, from a professional speaking standpoint, it was going to be my best year ever in terms of talks I had lined up all over the country. And then COVID hit and boom, I was in lockdown. Now, what we all had to do during that time, though, is if we were pushing against the system and we were either feeling bad about things not unfolding the way we wanted to, or we just kept waiting for things to change back to how they always were, we probably got disappointed. But there were ways that we were being guided to move in different directions. We had to look at what wanted to happen. And for many of us, we had to pivot in our lives and our business. And for me, I created a whole bunch of stuff this year that I wouldn't have even have probably gotten to. I just uploaded my newest book to Amazon that'll be available soon. And I created an online program. And I got really adept at communicating and doing my speaking virtually. So there were certain things, but ask yourself, what wants to happen here? And where can you adapt and where can you pivot? Number 3 is, what's the next right move? You know, sometimes when challenge comes upon us, it just seems overwhelming to us and it's just too big to deal with. But one of the best things we can do is to take a breath and just look at what the next or the first right move is. See, because when we get in momentum, we start to be able to adapt to the situation and our juices start flowing in terms of our creativity. And, you know, I was told by a teacher once is that God meets us at the point of action. So when we get moving and when we see something, whatever the first right thing to do is, just do it. Because otherwise, the way that we do is we sit back and we just ruminate about it and get nothing done. So what's the first right move? And then after that, if you don't have a plan put together for how to deal with this challenge, what's the next right move? Right? What's the next right move? And then the next right move after that. Then rinse and repeat. Because when we do that and we stay present in the moment on what's right in front of us and just dealing with what we've got there, it's been my experience that plans start to almost come organically. You know, I start to see things a lot clearer, but it's because I'm getting in motion and I'm taking some steps in order to deal with the challenge. So there you have it, my friends. There's my 4 ideas to be able to take our problems this year and turn them into projects. And number 1 is ask yourself what's really happening. Number 2, what wants to happen. Number 3, what's the first right move? And then number 4, what's the next right move? And then rinse and repeat. So this has been Chris Natzke with Black Belt Leadership Speaking and Coaching. I always love being able to share these messages with you. I hope you gain some value from it. And I'll tell you what, if you're dealing with a particular challenge this year and you want to have a breakthrough result, check the link below to my new Breakthroughs program, which I got to do because I had to pivot this year and would love to share that with you. And I don't know about you, but I'm going to sign off now because I've got a lot of projects to get to. So once again, Chris Natzke with Black Belt Leadership Speaking and Coaching, and we'll see you next time on the Mind of a Champion Tip of the Week.